No one in his family has laser vision or taught him how to do this.
Yeah.
No one taught him how to spontaneously combust. So this is all intuitive learning. It's just something that he feels and then does. And this happens a lot in the pre-operational stage, which Piaget would say was ages 2 to 7, but it can really happen a lot earlier, which The Incredibles accurately portrays. Hello and welcome to Cinema Therapy. I'm Jonathan Decker, licensed therapist. I love movies.
I am Alan Seawright, professional filmmaker, crisscross applesauce sitter, and I need therapy.
We are both parents. We want to talk about what kids need at various ages and stages of development.
I am really intrigued in this because I'm just winging it, and you are a world-class expert in this.
I'm in theory.
You've read many books.
What is best for your kids? What do your kids need? It's a question that's on the minds of a lot of people, and The Incredibles actually does a fantastic job answering it. I wanted to avoid saying an incredible job.
Mr. Incredible! Whoa!
They do an incredible job in The
Incredibles do an incredible job.
It's incredible.
Monsieur Incroyable!
And I want to hear from people at home in the comments, but I want to ask you, what are some of your biggest struggles as a parent?
I don't know when and how much autonomy to give my kids.
Where's Jack? You lost him? I gave you one thing to do.
Sort of my whole parenting philosophy is to remove myself from the equation, if that makes
Right.
sense. I want to get to the point where, like, I'm a friendly acquaintance who gives advice. I want to be their Obi-Wan.
I sense a trap.
Next move?
Spring the trap.
It's hard to know when they are ready and responsible enough to be granted autonomy over, like, a part of their life, right?
Right. Give them that independence, and then give them a little more, and give them a little more.
Yeah.
And even though that varies from child to child, there is no hard, fast rules for this is the age you do it. There are some guidelines.
Okay.
My greatest challenge when it comes to my kids is getting them to learn stuff. How many times have you tried to teach your kids to wash their hands, for example?
Oh my gosh.
Dash, this is the third time this year you've been sent to the office. We need to find a better outlet, a more constructive outlet.
So what's going to help us today, I actually want to give everyone at home a little bit of a collegiate psychology course right here on the show.
Love it.
And unlike most collegiate psychology courses, we're going to do everything in our power to make this the opposite of boring. So we're going to talk about Piaget's 4 stages of development.
Okay.
So Jean Piaget was a Swiss developmental psychologist who studied the development of children back in the 1930s, and now we're almost 100 years later, and the world of psychology generally just accepts what he determined.
He mostly got it right.
So we're going to take the 3 Parr children from The Incredibles, and we're going to see how they match up with Piaget's 4 stages of development, and we're going to talk about what your kids need, depending on where they are, for their nurture, for their growth into autonomy and independence,
Okay.
and in order to learn things better.
So were you the weird face one, or was Alicia? You were the weird face one?
Oh, yeah.
I was also the weird face one.
You're making weird faces again.
Dash looks like a Seawright, by the way.
He does. He looks exactly like my son, Jack.
Well, it is leftover night. We have steak, pasta. What are you hungry for?
Tony Ridinger.
Shut up, you little insect.
Oh, she is.
Do not shout at the table.
Boy, am I looking forward to middle school.
Listen to your mother.
She'd eat
I've
it
definitely
if we
done
were
that before.
Tony Loaf.
That's it.
Jack looks like the party.
Coming in the house.
Hey, no force fields.
You started it. You sit down. You sit down.
I mean, sans superpowers, that is every weeknight at my house.
That is disturbingly relatable.
Yeah. I try to be better than kids, listen to your mother.
Listen to your mother. I have done that before. Try to not do it, but I have done it.
Do something. Don't just stand there. I need you to intervene.
You want me to intervene? Okay.
Hey, I'm intervening!
And it's not helping. What I want to say, first of all, is with Helen, she's got 3 kids, and she cannot parent them all the same way.
Well, because they all need different I mean, they're responding to the same stimulus differently, so they
Right.
need different parenting. Yeah, that makes sense.
And so she's not going to spoon feed Dash the way she does Jack Jack.
Right.
She's not going to scold Violet the way she does Dash.
Smaller bites, Dash. Yikes.
Right.
And she's not going to try to connect with Dash on his emotions like she will with the teenage girl.
You've hardly touched your food.
I'm not hungry for meatloaf.
And so you have to approach all of the children differently, and you have to teach all of them differently. They all have different ways to learn, and that is freaking exhausting.
It's so hard.
Yeah. And then, like, if you do things differently, they're like, no fair! They have different rules than me, and just...
Oh, so my wife and I immediately quashed that. Like, anytime it's like, why does he get a thing and I don't? It's like, are you the same person?
Yeah.
Are you inside his skin right now?
Right.
I always try to make it as much of a horror movie as possible. It's like, are you looking out of his eyeballs?
Well,
Can you
actually,
smell
listen.
his brain?
Well, Sam will totally listen. The creepier and grosser you get with Sam, the more he's like...
The more he's into it.
Yeah.
Anytime we do that, they're like, well, okay, so I guess I'm not wearing a Jack skin suit, so...
That is gross.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
super
it.
gross.
Hey, your skin is hanging off your bones.
Is that leather?
So let's go with foundational principles. Piaget believed that children learned observationally and by experience.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, the more you try and teach them, the less they're actually going to learn. What they need is to be thrown into an experience and to actually just pick it up as they go.
Sure.
And we see that a lot, especially in the sensory motor stage, which is where age-wise Jack Jack is.
Mm-hmm.
Sensory motor, I mean, it's right there in the name, senses, motor skills.
Yeah.
Right.
This was what we always called at home the noisy, smelly houseplant stage. Because that's what you got.
Yeah.
It's not even a pet. It's a noisy, smelly houseplant.
Especially when they're like newborns. 'cause
When they're
they-
newborns until they can crawl, that's all they are.
Yeah.
It's a noisy. It's
it just
Poof.
waves,
Like, that's
it
it.
waves its little fronds around.
Pull it up!
Kids are figuring out how the world works, so they don't understand it as these are the laws of physics. That is what they're understanding.
Right.
I pull on the tablecloth, things fall down.
Yeah.
I touch this, it pokes me. I taste this, it tastes good, or it tastes gross.
Right.
And so this entire stage of life is about figuring out how the world works and developing their motor skills. Going from that, what you were talking about,
Yeah.
the stinky,
Noisy, smelly houseplant.
noisy, smelly houseplant to I can crawl and I can walk. This is just all foundational stuff, and this is where Jack Jack is right now.
Oh my God. Yes.
The goal of the sensory motor stage is something called object permanence. Alan is still developing his motor skills.
Failing.
So the major goal of this stage is object permanence. What is object permanence?
Understanding that things exist outside of you actively looking at them.
Yes.
It's like, if I walk away from this cat will still be a cat.
So at the sensory motor, at the beginning of the stage, if a parent leaves the room, the child becomes upset.
Yeah.
Like if I'm an infant, my parent no longer exists if I don't see them. And then they come back and they smile at me and I smile back and it's like, oh, good.
World of the men? I don't think so.
Understanding towards the end of the stage, my parent goes out on a date, I'm here with a babysitter, my parent's gonna come back, I'm gonna be just fine.
Totally fine.
Here are the needs of your kids in this stage. Use real objects and play activities. So later on, kids can do really well with video games and a lot of screen time. And I'm not saying
okay.
don't have screen time for 0 to 2, but what they really need is to interact with the tactile world.
Sure.
Because things on the television screen and on the computer screen are symbolic.
Right.
Right? I'm not actually making a little plumber jump over mushrooms and stars and stuff. Like, that's all symbolic.
That would
So-
be a horrifying form of slavery for plumbers.
And understanding symbolism is part of the next stage, right? Ages 2 to 7.
Sure.
Babies need to interact with the physical world. So you need real objects for them to play with.
Blocks that they can stack up and knock down.
Right.
Yeah.
This is where we can start to teach them that this image is associated with something in real life,
Got it.
which is something that's going on with Jack Jack.
Good. Campfire.
But Jack Jack, like I said, is straddling the line. He is also showing signs of the pre-operational stage. He's progressing abnormally, but not impossibly ahead of schedule. The thing about learning at this time is that it's both egocentric and intuitive. What egocentric means is I am the center of my world.
Sure.
You are not a person, you are my mom. It's all about the relationships. I'm learning how everyone relates to me.
Should I have progressed past that?
A lot of adults don't.
Oh.
We're working on it. So learning here is egocentric, it's also intuitive, meaning it's not taught, it's kind of felt.
Right.
And we see this when a child gets up and starts to try to walk. I mean, yes, they've observed it, but they haven't really learned it. They're just, this is built into our DNA to start doing this. And Jack Jack displays intuitive learning anytime he uses his powers. Because his family doesn't even know he has powers.
Right. So I like that he starts on the TV and makes that connection. Is that kind of what you were talking about with...
With connecting symbols to reality, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's part of the pre-operational stage. Piaget says it happens later, but it can happen here. And that's one of the flaws in his theory, is that it's too...
prescriptive about ages.
Yeah. But in the pre-operational stage... like, he saw the burglars on the TV show, and... he knew that wasn't real, but then here's this raccoon, and they have the same, like, face mask, right? And so he makes the connection. So in pre-operational, we're connecting symbols to reality, and to him, this is a burglar, which is fair enough. Raccoons are
basically nature's burglars.
I love that he's got, like, combination punches.
This is... oh my gosh, I love this scene so much.
I was actually afraid for the raccoon in this scene that it was going to get burned alive. So anytime Jack Jack uses a power, no one in his family has laser vision or taught him how to do this.
Yeah.
No one taught him how to spontaneously combust. So this is all intuitive learning. It's just something that he feels and then does. And this happens a lot in the pre-operational stage, which Piaget would say was ages 2 to 7, but it can really happen a lot earlier, which The Incredibles accurately portrays. I love that they step into he has like all the powers.
Oh man. I'm just in awe of this scene, like...
No! Have powers! Yeah, baby! And there's not a scratch on you! Did you go through the locked door? Are those your powers? Ha ha! Who can multiply like rabbits and go right through any solid... Oh my God.
Okay, pause it. Oh man. Oh man. Just a pure, like, silly physical comedy scene. It is so good. It harkens back to, you know, Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah.
Like, just brilliant stuff. Any of the sort of screwball comedies. It's
where a situation just escalates and keeps snowballing.
Getting crazier and crazier and crazier. And then just to wrap it up with that, oh my God, it's just...
You know, your kids, when your kids show you they can do new things, it's exciting until it's not. You knew from the end of the first film that Jack Jack could go combustible.
He could do some stuff.
And if you've seen Jack Jack attack, you knew about a couple of the other things, but I love how all at once he can do everything. Yeah, all the powers. Yeah. It's just, yeah. He turns like into Taffy. That's my favorite.
That was my favorite one where he just turns into like silly putty. And the look on his face when the raccoon's like ripping him apart and he's like...
But that is actually very true to children when they do things for the first time that they didn't know they could do.
They're just bemused. They're like, oh, look at this.
Yeah, they're super excited about it. So needs of your kids during this stage, they learn best by doing. The other thing they need is you need to encourage them to ask questions. And most kids actually...
Most kids you don't need to encourage.
The way you encourage it is by not discouraging it.
Right, you answer them or, yeah.
Yeah, because it will come naturally. Now, sometimes they need to... Kids, we're going to put a pin in it and come back later because mommy's doing something or daddy's doing something. Showing them that their questions are welcome will help them to be inquisitive, and that will help them to develop imagination.
Yeah.
Which is a huge part of this stage as well. The other thing is for you to point out things and ask them questions about it that you already know the answers to,
right?
But to get them thinking about it. If you enjoyed this episode, we've got our extended, commercial-free director's cut version on our membership site, as well as relationship courses crafted by moi.
All kinds of fun stuff.
So now I want to talk about Dash and Violet, who are later on, they actually represent the final 2 stages of development according to Piaget.
Well, not that this isn't fun, but I'm gonna go look around.
What do you think is going on here? You think we're on vacation or something? Mom and Dad's lives could be in jeopardy, or worse.
Their marriage? So the bad guys are trying to wreck Mom and Dad's marriage.
Oh, forget it. You're so immature.
Okay, I'm gonna go look
Mom
around.
said stay hidden.
I'm not gonna leave the cave. Sheesh.
So Dash is in a stage known as concrete operational. And the thing about concrete operational is it's all literal.
Or their marriage.
Or their marriage, and he says, so the bad guys are trying to destroy our parents' marriage. So when she says that, he takes it as literal. She's in formal operational, which is abstract thinking. She is piecing together the evidence that her parents' marriage is falling apart.
Why am I in charge again?
Nothing. Just a little trouble with Daddy.
You mean Dad's in trouble, or Dad is the trouble?
I mean, either he's in trouble or he's going to be.
To Dash, his parents' marriage wouldn't be falling apart unless they actually came and said, we're getting a divorce or we're splitting up. That's the moment it would be real for him. But Violet is seeing the writing on the wall because at her level of maturity, she's capable of analytical thinking.
It's okay, kids. We're just having a discussion.
Pretty loud discussion.
Yeah.
Dash in the concrete operational stage, the big goal of that is to get kids solving problems without actually having to encounter them in the real world.
Got it.
Kids this age, 7 to 11, have you noticed this with your kids?
Gosh.
They are so married to the rules.
Jack is like, he is a rule lawyer. It is, everything is like parsing the language and like what is the exact numerical detail of every single thing. And it's like, dude, just freaking okay.
And if anything goes wrong, use your powers.
But you said never to
I know
use-
what I said!
Because at concrete operational, what are the rules for how the world works? Because I want to solve my own problems, and to solve them, I need to know how it works.
Right.
Dash, if anything goes wrong, I want you to run as fast as you can.
As fast as I can?
As fast as you can.
Now, at formal operational, which is where Violet is, you can see nuance. You can see that what works in one situation doesn't work in another. But Dash can't see that.
Yeah, one thing that I see with, because I have 2 kids in that stage right now, they're both very, very absolutist.
Yeah.
If you do a bad thing, you're a bad person.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, no.
What your kids need is they need activities that help them to formulate and understand abstract concepts, abstract thinking. This is why, by the way, kids at this age have science fairs.
Oh, that makes sense.
This is why if I make a volcano with baking soda and I learn something about how real volcanoes work, I'm taking the rules of one thing and applying them to another without actually seeing it or being there. It's part of helping them develop along the way there. Brain teasers are a great thing. Crossword puzzles or Sudoku or chess or checkers, things that make them think ahead and strategize is really, really good for their development. And frankly, there are video games that do that.
Yeah, there's lots.
If they're really into video games, just maybe direct them a little bit towards...
Not all Call of Duty all the time.
One single shot!
Yeah, absolutely.
Find some other stuff.
And focus on open-ended questioning, once again, to get them thinking instead of just yes and no.
If you would like to follow us on social media so that you can see more of the things that we do, you can at therapy_cinema on Twitter and Instagram, and at cinema_, it's Reddit, r/cinema_therapy. That's our subreddit where we Reddit.
Now, there's an interesting difference between, when we talk about sensory motor and pre-operational, then concrete operational and formal operational, the two that Jack are in.
I do not involve myself in the prosaic day-to-day. Day?
He only relates to people as they relate to him. In other words, I am the center of my universe.
Fascinating.
I don't really know or care what's going on in your life.
Sure.
I just see you as my mother or as my father. As you are this or that for me. You provide me food. You change my diaper. You do this, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes.
Where Dash gets, where he is in the concrete operational, he's starting to transition into actually seeing other people have lives.
Yeah.
Other people have feelings, other people have needs, but he's not quite understanding it because he hasn't experienced it. Violet is growing enough into an adult that she understands more and more of what's going on with her parents. And you see this with teenagers. This is about the age when kids start to figure out that you don't have all the answers.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. I don't want to talk about it.
Tony didn't even call?
I don't want to talk about
Oh,
it.
honey.
Dad, if you want me to feel better, then leave me alone. Please?
Right.
This is about the age where they start to figure out that you're not perfect, and sometimes they are pissed.
It can go horribly wrong.
And so what kids really need at this stage, you talk about the autonomy. When you are in the early stages, like Jack, your independence comes in the form of being given things to interact with and play with and learn from and teach yourself with. When you are at concrete operational, your autonomy comes from basically, what do you earn? I give rules, you obey the rules, you have freedom to do things. You don't, then that freedom is restricted.
I hate superheroes, and I renounce them!
When you're getting someone into a formal operational stage like Violet, what's really important is they're not quite adults, but they're not kids either. And so we need to respect that. What they really want is to not be seen as a child. I have ideas that are valid.
Is she having adolescence?
I have feelings that are valid. I have insights that are valid because they're starting to pick up. This is when kids start to really get into social issues because they start to understand the world beyond themselves.
Because I'm Mr. Incredible, not Mr. So-so or Mr. Mediocre guy, Mr. Incredible.
We should call Lucius.
And what is important for their learning at that stage and what they really need is talk with them about hypotheticals. Because at this stage, they are really going into abstract thought outside of my own world, outside of my own neighborhood. And what do these people need? Or what's going on over here in this corner of the world, and what can we do to make a difference?
Babysitting. Well, you guys did the important stuff.
So Piaget his theory was incomplete, and that's where most people come in, that not that he was inaccurate, but that it was incomplete, that they're not entirely self-taught, experientially taught, that there needs to be structure, there needs to be instruction. But he was right in that, one, your kids need experience. Two, they need you to trust them to teach themselves, and that their experiences and their thoughts and their emotions are valid. And three, the best way to connect with them is to understand where they're at and what they need and do so.
That's my boy.
Incredibles illustrates this incredibly well. I'll go ahead and say it.
It's incredible.
Oh, Mr. Incredible or Mr. Incredible.
So until next time, I don't think you're striking the proper tone here.
You keep trying to pick a fight, and I'm just glad you're still alive.
And
watch movies.
I missed Jack's first power!
Actually, you missed the first 17. Huh.
Oh.